One man, one dream. Two men, two dreams. Two men, one dream. One place for all your guitar needs. So Glow Guitar Gallery and So Glow Custom Guitars at 509 Glouch.
So Glow Guitar Gallery and So Glow Custom Guitars at 509 Gloucester Street in Brunswick, Georgia has everything. Electric guitars, acoustic guitars, bass guitars, amplifiers, hand-built custom guitars and amps, strings, pedals, and accessories, instrument repairs and guitar lessons, mics and mic stands, even drumsticks. Get 10% off your next purchase. Just say you saw it or heard it on Something in the Water. For the wants, the needs, the dreams of South Georgia and North Florida guitar players. So Glow Guitar Gallery and So Glow Custom Guitars. 509 Gloucester Street in downtown Brunswick, Georgia. Folks, to another Something in the Water podcast. I'm Uncle Dave Griffin.
And I'm Sean Clark, and we're here with our good buddy, or good buddy to be. We're just really now meeting him, but Anders Thomsen.
Hello, everybody.
From Bloomingdale, Georgia.
That is correct.
That's where you reside now.
Yep.
Eh? And that's not what you would call original home.
No.
Where did you actually grow up then?
I grew up in Lansing, Michigan, that's where I went.
Do they have a coast up there?
A coast?
Yeah.
No
coast.
No, that's in the middle of the state. Yeah,
Okay.
So we're
Okay.
a couple hours from any of the big lakes.
From the big lakes.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
As I recall, I don't really even know. It's been so long.
Yeah.
I know it's 90 miles from Detroit.
All right. So it's landlocked as far as as you were concerned.
Yeah.
And
it was a big treat to go to Lake Michigan to go to the beach.
Yeah.
Get fried smelt.
Hey, what?
Fried smelt. Little like minnows, deep fried.
Oh my God.
Wrapped in a paper cone with vinegar and salt. I don't think they do that anymore.
Okay. It was a delicacy, though.
Yeah, sure. Well, it was beach food. They had little shacks on the beach there. You could get your fried smelt.
I'll have a smelt. And
smelt in your mouth.
That's pretty much, yeah.
So you're a guitar player and songwriter, phenomenal guitar player.
Thank you. Yep, I do that.
And you lived there for how long did you live there for?
In Michigan?
Yeah.
Well, I probably till I was 17.
I got you. So you could
and
hit the road. And
yeah, I moved to New York City as soon as I got the chance.
That sounds like a story there.
Yeah, it was a story. It was great.
Were you playing then, or did you find music later?
Yeah, I decided. I played in Michigan a good bit. I got lucky enough to find some older musicians that had gigs in bars, and I became a bass player and played with them. And then apparently by the time I was 17, I'd have enough of it, and I was going to go on to New York City and seek my fame and fortune.
That's bold now.
Yeah. Well, my sister lived out there, so I had that, and that was a start. And it wasn't completely jumping off the deep end, but I'm really glad I did it. It was a great experience.
No kidding.
And
I can imagine.
Great place to grow up, you know.
Now, along, I pulled some pictures off of your Facebook page, and along, we may come across some things that equate with the pics. And I remember seeing one of 1990s New York City, and it looked like a casual street pic. Let's see what Justin pulls up there. Now we can just along, we may just refer to these and get you to comment on them. That would be NYC 90s.
Yeah.
So you were still in New York in the 90s?
Yeah, I left there in 1997.
And then you moved?
With those, not the guy on the left, or the second from the left, but the two guys in the hats that aren't me. The three of us moved from New York City.
Now, are you in this picture?
Yeah, I've got.
You're the one with the black hat, right there, dead on.
With no sunglasses.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. On my right is Mike Smith, who played drums with my band, the Ex-Husbands, and on my left is Mark Miller, who played bass with the Ex-Husbands.
All right, and
that was a 3-piece.
Yeah.
Awesome.
What was this, country music?
Yeah, it was pretty straight ahead country. We actually started out as a 4-piece, but one night the other guitar player couldn't make it, and we just went ahead as a 3-piece.
Yeah.
And yeah, we were pretty straightforward country. I mean, for the first set.
Yeah.
The second set, maybe a little more rock and roll.
Yeah.
We played War Pigs.
All right.
Like you do.
Well,
like you do.
There was a definite turn.
That picture was taken outside of Madison Square Garden.
Oh, really?
Across the street from the post office.
You have made it.
Yeah, we were outside of Madison Square Garden.
Hey. There was definitely a turn in country music in the mid-'80s, return to traditionalism with Dwight Yoakam and, of course, Rodney Crowell, kind of a resurgence with him. And you had the newer ones coming out,
Steve Earle, Dwight Yoakam, and Randy Travis, all their debut albums came out the same day.
Really?
I was reading not too long ago, and I was like, that's like 3 totally different.
That's the holy triumvirate.
Yeah.
But Dwight, he was out in California doing the cowpunk thing, that big movement out there. Did your music ever get into areas there, or was that
we
a
used
little
to
too
we played in California?
Oh, did you?
Yeah, we played. We for a while we had a booking agent and a couple records out. We played in California, all over the Southeast and Midwest.
Cool.
And in Texas, we played a lot in Texas.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then California, we made it up to Seattle even.
Wow.
I think we might have gone. I think maybe we got up there on 2 different tours. That's just such a long way, and out there, you don't have the towns aren't as close together, so you don't have like Greenville, Athens, Atlanta. They're not all nice and packed together. So it's a haul in between. Getting from San Diego to El Paso. And there's nothing in between. It's just keep driving.
Blow a tire out there and you're just out
It's
there.
yeah, it looks inhospitable. And we were driving that way. I don't remember which way we were going, but we were in the desert, and it's so beautiful. But we saw a guy leaning on a guardrail hitchhiking, and we hadn't been past an exit in 30 miles, and there wasn't another exit for 30. Mm-hmm. We didn't stop to pick him up, but we thought, where did he come from? But he was just dressed like in street clothes, like that's where he lived. He was like going to my cousin's house or whatever it was.
All right.
Hey, I envy you for having traveled that route.
Oh, it was great. We had
one thing that I have yet to do is never made it past Little Rock, Arkansas, and somewhere in the middle of Texas. I've been that far, but beyond that, out into the desert.
Yeah, I haven't either, and I want to go so bad.
Oh my God!
It's.
I just want to see it. I just want to
it's worth
experience the visual, if anything.
Well, I can't say that I really saw it except out of the van window, but
True.
I did.
Yeah.
Following that, I've been back. I went out there once with my wife. Mm-hmm. It might have been before we were married, but we did some camping out there, so that was nice. But there's no place I don't want to go. I love traveling.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
So, what kind of a childhood did you have? Were you military by any chance?
No,
Nothing
no.
like that?
My father ran a theater, a live. They did plays,
cool.
and my mother was the costumer.
Yeah,
and it started out as a summer theater, and then they became a year-round theater. They got some funding from the state of Michigan, and he's been gone for over 10 years now. But and he stopped. He wasn't associated with it for probably 20 years before he died. But it's still going. It's still a theater.
Yeah.
So I never was really that interested in theater, but acting. Yeah. But I did some of the plays that they did were musicals, and I remember as a child seeing some show they had an electric bass player, and the guy, I don't know who it was, but I remember being very impressed that he was really cool, and he sat on his amp, and I was like. I'm doing that.
That's what I want to do.
That's awesome. Well, you had the showbiz roots then.
Yeah, I think so. I think that might be some of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I never got into. I was on stage as a child in a couple plays, extra kind of things, but it never bit me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was reading on there that. In one of the little bio blurbs no, it's actually a clipping from a newspaper from Lansing. It said that you were 14 years old, had written a musical, or
I forgot about
Sneakers.
That. Yes, I did that for some reason. It was. It might have been, maybe we just thought it was a way to get my band on stage.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea what all that was. I don't know what the song sounded like.
You can't remember? Really?
No.
Yeah,
I remember a few performances of it. I think we did kind of like matinees.
Yeah.
But yeah, very hazy recollection.
That's pretty strong, though. I mean,
well, I think that most people of that age are capable of a lot. That they don't really get the support that is necessary. But kids are. Right now, I have a daughter she's about to turn 16, and she's up for anything.
Yeah.
I place a great deal of trust in her ability and her good sense. I think that, and I think if you do that, then you're gonna get that out of a
Good
child.
results. Yeah. I was always scared to death for some reason. Like you're saying, I could never have made the decision to go to New York, or back in my day, it'd been early '70s or something. It would have been a trip to California. I just never had that drive in me. Of course, I don't think I was ready.
I was ready to get out of here. When I graduated, I was here a summer, and then I was in Philadelphia. But I also followed a girl up there, so that helped. But
that's admirable that you had that drive in you, and I think it is a direct result of your upbringing and everything. If you got supportive,
the support, and also I think that I've met people that were from there. And it wasn't completely foreign to me, but
and your sister was there, like you said, right?
Yeah. So it wasn't just going there cold. I rode the Greyhound bus out there. I did the first time I went.
Had you already made the switch to guitar by then?
I played guitar before I played bass. Okay. But when I went out there, I brought a bass and a guitar to be prepared. And I played bass when I first got to New York, just because I figured it was going to be more easy to get a gig that way. And so that came in handy, because it got me into a couple things that I did that were, I think, positive experiences.
Everybody needs a bass player.
Pardon
me? Everybody needs a bass player.
Yeah.
It seems like bass players are hard to find,
because it's not really very fun.
Yeah. It's like, I guess I'll tote this stuff.
I loved it. I loved the bass. The bass spoke to me. It was like everything that there for a period of time. It was like anything that came on the radio, the dashboard of the car, the turntable at home. I just zeroed in on that bass part.
I love listening to a good bass player.
Oh, yeah.
It's some of my favorite music. Like where a bass player is carrying part of the song, and anticipating, and they make themselves part of the music. A lot of bass players are following and not really.
Right.
They're just there to thump on beat, more or less. But Paul McCartney.
Oh my God!
I mean, it's like he's leading the band on the bass.
Yeah,
it's great stuff.
What always impressed me about Paul was that he would, by the time they were getting really into the deep, portion of their career, when they were running the whole show by then, he would get in there and do the guide, in order for the rest of the song to be built up. Then he would come back afterward, wipe everything clean, and then manufacture his own melodic bass part. That was just incredible.
He's an incredible musician.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So where'd you learn all them hot licks?
James Burton.
Oh, wow. Well, they personally, or just listening to the records?
I love listening to guitar players.
Yeah.
And of course, James Burton is one, but Pete Anderson, talking about Dwight Yoakam, he's a huge influence. He really distilled a lot of stuff down for people, and he took, before I got into exploring all the different older recordings, James Burton had kind of written a little book on it and put it on there. Dwight Yoakam, not James, but Pete Anderson had put, he's like, here's how you do it. These are all the licks, and of course many others. That my first guitar hero was, being from Michigan, it was Ted Nugent. He was the
Okay.
guy. Everybody loved him when I was in junior high school. He was the guy to be like right before Eddie Van Halen came out.
Yeah.
And it all changed really fast.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, the Nuge, he played a lot up there before he was outspoken in other ways. He would just come up and play his guitar, and he was great. I mean, I saw him a couple times in various gymnasiums, and he
I
could put
saw
on a
him
show.
at the Georgia Southern College gym right over there in Douglas, Georgia, about 30 minutes from here in 72.
Yeah.
And I was just a kid, probably about 19. And he couldn't have been much older than me, but he was strutting around there with his shirt off, and
Loincloth then, or?
it was close. But he had that long curly hair, and I'll never forget, this was the image, sitting there cross-legged like an Indian on the gym floor watching him in the silhouette in the the stage lights. And he was up there just ripping it. And all of a sudden, he just turned to the left and go, like that. And I saw that silhouette oyster fly through the air and land right off the edge of the stage on the side. He spit it about 15 feet. And I thought, rock and roll.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pete Anderson, though, my God.
Yeah, he's amazing. Let's see, what other? I mean, and of course, there's many others. I love James Burton. Roy Buchanan, an amazing guitar player. You can just keep naming
Now,
them.
Do you use the bender approach?
No, I've never used a V-bender.
You're
no.
just straight up picking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I was advised not to use one of those, or not to use one. I was asking somebody about it. He said it's kind of to learn the guitar, And then the more I learned about the guitar, and the more I realized that I'm never going to need a B-bender because I'm never going to learn how to play the six strings as they are.
I got you.
But I try, I like bending. I mean,
Well, you can get those. Those licks, steel licks, are doable on a six-string guitar without the mechanisms and everything.
with a little forethought.
Yeah, you have to plan it out.
Yeah, and you gotta bend up before some of them bend up before you bend down. I can kind of do a few little things. There's more strings on a steel guitar, of course, and then there's that whole music theory thing, which is not my strong suit. So I kind of have to stumble upon the licks because I can't listen to them and go, oh, that's a whatever chord that is. I don't know. I mean, as far as I got was 9. I can do a 9th chord.
Yeah.
Beyond that, I'm kind of a little bit lost. I love steel player. I mean, I love steel guitar. I love listening
I
to
do
it.
too. I'm scared to death of it. I don't know how to, our friend of mine, Jody, he's always played lap steel and stuff like that. He got a pedal steel and he's just like, man, I don't know whether to sell this thing or what. It's hard.
Well, I mean, lap steel can do so much as well, and it's such a great sound. I think I probably like the sound of lap steel better than pedal steel, but I mean, if you didn't have pedal steel, I mean, lately I've been listening to a bunch of kind of 60s mainstream, like Tammy Wynette and stuff like that. And the steel players on that are just like
badasses.
They make the song, some of those Tammy Wynette songs. And, I don't know what they're doing, but it sounds great.
They're bending. They're pedal. They got pedals, knee levers.
Yeah.
And Lord God, at the number of they got a pick on every finger.
Yeah.
And more than enough strings to go with it. It's just incredible. And I tell you what was interesting to me, because I followed of course, my daddy was big into record albums, when he was a young man, when I was very young. So I was exposed to this country music, Hank Sr. and Don Helms. And oh my God. It was the oh my God variant there for a minute, folks. But so from the country music perspective of the steel guitar, I went back and did some reading on the history of the instrument, and found out that there was a underground, the black folks adopted the instrument and took it underground into the religion, into the church. And then about early 90s, it resurfaced again with Robert Randolph and Roosevelt Collier and those boys.
I'm aware of those guys.
Oh, my goodness. And you talking about a whole nother thing just jumped out there. It's brilliant.
I would think, and I'm just guessing, but I remember when I was a kid, I can think of several households where there were lap steel guitars that had just been there forever and nobody played them. They weren't expensive. A lot of people bought them. And I would think there might have been something to do with that. It's like kind of like how the auto harp got into the hands of like the Carter family. It was like a free instrument. Like, here you go, do what you can with it.
Yeah. Oh, man.
We got to record with Don Helms. Last time he recorded anything.
That's amazing.
It was
What year was that?
2005.
We had a project that we were doing here with a lot of Waycross musicians, and it was like a concept album called the Newfanglers. And our idea for it was, you kept saying, this is like Hank Williams meets Pink Floyd on a dirt road, and they fight it out. And then
It didn't sound like that.
We had a buddy that was like, well, I'm Don Helms' computer guy.
Yeah.
You want me to ask him if he'll do it? And we're like, yeah. So then we were getting it all set up, and then he had a stroke, and we're like, well, there that goes. It's not going to happen. And then
6-8 months later, he was revived.
and we got up there. He said he had to relearn how to play and stuff. So
it was amazing.
And then, man, it was just him sitting there with the guitar, and it sounded
the actual guitar that he played on a lot of those old,
call it, and
Hank Senior songs.
Cowboys.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah.
He's like, anything y'all want to hear before I put it up? And we're like,
Anything?
anything, everything.
Yeah, that's something else, man.
Yeah, that was awesome.
So I was listening to some of your songs earlier. What you got on your website? I'm trying to remember the names of them. I know Jackknife was one.
Jackknife, Crazy Old Dreamer. That's on the website. I can't remember exactly.
Burn
Me Up.
Burn Me Up.
Burn Me Up. That one's. Those three are Those are all part of the live set lately.
Cool.
Nice songs. Yeah.
Thanks. I just recorded about 6 or 7 more songs last weekend.
Oh, great.
And they might see the light of day. I gotta.
All right.
I've got a buddy up in Nashville who's going to mix them as soon as he gets a chance, and we'll see how they sound. Real simple. We just did it. We did it live. Mm-hmm. And we'll see what he can see. Yeah, see how it sounds when he's done. If I can keep it almost free to do it. So far, so good. Mm-hmm. I might be able to justify releasing it.
It's hard, man. You don't hardly make anything. You spend a bunch of money putting something out these days, and then
Well,
you get nothing in return.
the only thing I'm going to do is if it's nearly free, and in a way that's kind of liberating, because then you record something, you worry about the production and how it's going to sound, and if you have no reason to spend money on it, and you don't spend money on it, you just say you record it and you say that's what you get. Yeah. We came in here we did 4 hours in a room a lot like this, so we're just going to do what we can do in 4 hours, and we'll either keep it or not. And it went really well. So
cool.
I'm pretty excited about it. But yes, there's very little incentive to record. I'll sing you later on a song about that very topic. I would have said, in the past, this is the one that's going to make all that money for me. But now I know it's not.
Yeah. I've got a box of CDs of 2 albums. It's hard to say. You get sell a CD. What's a CD?
Yeah. Well, they're not bad for having at shows, because a lot of people just want to give you $10.
They want to tip you.
And so the one that I do have, that I sell 2 or 3 of those every time, and it's long since been paid for. It's just a little pocket money.
That's the good thing about them, is there's not a whole lot of money in them.
Yeah.
But,
it's like fancy business cards now.
They really are. They're very expensive business cards.
People.
Now, that having been said, people are still, there's lots of great music coming out right now. There's lots and lots of people making lots of great music. And I'm happy about that. And that's one of the great things about the very thing that's making it so you can't make any money, is that you can hear all of this great music.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have things online to stream?
I have stuff on Bandcamp. I make a little money, about enough to cover my YouTube subscription. So I break even on that. But I kind of have balked at the idea of Spotify and those things where, Bandcamp, they'll send you actual money. It's like if somebody spends $10, you get $7.50.
Are you on Bandcamp?
No. I don't know much about Bandcamp.
But it doesn't have.
I've bought things on Bandcamp, but I've never put anything on Bandcamp.
You get 75%, which is great, really fair. But they don't have the profile and that all the other things do. So
I've gotten money from Spotify one time.
CD Baby, I've gotten some things.
Well, that was through CD Baby, because that's who I did it through put it on Spotify. But
yeah, I'm thinking if I do continue with this little project that I just got done, I'll do that, the full on all platforms release, just to see what happens. Can't make all that much less.
Yeah, it's just kind of putting it out there to get your name out there or whatever.
Yeah.
But,
are you Anders and Thomsen both? That's is that Norse, Swedish,
Danish? I mean, my on my father's side, my grandparents, one of them was from Denmark.
Okay.
So yes, I'm named after my dad's favorite uncle.
Okay.
Anders. So he had, his father was the 12th child.
Wow.
And
big family.
His mother was the 13th child.
Oh, my.
Wow.
That's how many aunts and uncles he had.
Dang.
And my grandfather was named Frank Dozenius Thomsen.
Dozenius.
Yeah, they called him that because he was the 12th one.
Oh, wow. Dozenius.
Did your grandfather, or was it earlier generation that came to America?
He was born in Nebraska, my grandfather on my father's side, and my grandmother she came to America as an indentured servant from Denmark as well. And the story goes that he was born in a sod hut.
Yeah.
So
In Nebraska.
in Nebraska, yeah.
Cool.
And then on the other side, we've got Scotch and German,
Okay.
Channer and Getzlaff.
There's another photo. I don't know. It was in right at the tail end of your photographs. And I don't know if it's a young you, but you're is a blonde-haired boy and an older man with a saw.
Yeah, that's me and my dad.
That's your daddy?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's my dad. And that is me at, you can see on the wall there that men used to wear coats and hats.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was like Dad's night at daycare, I think. I remember.
How about that?
And there he is showing me how to saw
Yeah.
wood. And I've got the horizontal and vertical stripes.
You definitely got the stripes going. So that would have been in the 70s.
Yeah, about 1970, 71, something like that.
That's awesome.
In Grand Ledge, Michigan.
Yeah. I noticed a lot of other photographs. Do you actually build guitars?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I build electric guitars.
Yeah.
You've always got some fancy guitars. That would explain it. Do you build most of those?
Probably the only electric guitar that I have that I didn't build is a beat up old Telecaster. But so the ones that you've seen are probably the ones that I've made.
You just make them for yourself, or do you make them to sell?
I've sold a few. I've sold a few. I mean, I can only keep so many guitars.
Right.
So I have, of the ones that I've made, I probably, in my possession, are 4. And one of them is kind of the first one I ever made. And then I made one for my daughter, pretty straight Telecaster copy. And then the Flying V I made because I was going to be doing a Judas Priest cover band for Halloween one year.
Oh, wow.
So I said, we're going to have a Flying V for that.
Cool.
But I put P90s in it so it could also be twangy.
Yeah.
Rock and roll.
It still sound like KK Downing or whoever.
So you can rip all that Judas Priest stuff?
I mean,
Did you learn it for that, or you already knew all this
well, I had to learn the solos.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not usually a solo memorizing person, but I thought for the Judas Priest, you kind of have to
play that.
You got to do it like the record because there's really it's just it comes at you too fast to.
Yeah, there's no room for freestyle. Oh, excuse me.
So yeah, I sat down and learned a couple solos where it was enough to get the job done.
Right. You sure know your way around the fretboard.
I love doing it.
I love watching your little chicken picking sessions on Instagram.
I started doing that right around the time COVID hit.
Yeah.
And it's really good practice.
I've never been much of a lead guy at all. Always jealous of that stuff,
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Well, there's people that are cut out for it. That's for sure.
I think when you start dipping your toe into it, you can it gets easier.
Yeah.
Once you start doing a little bit, but you do have to spend a lot of time at it. I mean, there's no two ways about that. Which I tell people now that people ask me if I give guitar lessons, and I say, you're not going to like what I have to say because I'm going to tell you to practice.
Yeah.
And if I had to learn to play guitar now, I couldn't do it because I just don't have time.
Yeah.
You have to really practice
You
a
gotta put in a
lot.
lot of hours.
Yeah. When I was a teenager, my dad always
I
said,
put in plenty of hours playing. I was always trying to write a song.
yeah, well, that's a different thing. And you have to, writing songs, you have to practice.
Mm-hmm.
It's, which I'm kind of trying to do more of lately. But it's the same way.
Mm-hmm. I feel like I couldn't do both. I had to just.
Well, there's time. That's one thing that I didn't.
Some people
nobody
can do both,
realizes.
but I just don't think I could have done.
Yeah, there's time for everything. You know? I mean, I'm finding out I'm probably older than I thought I'd ever be. And I didn't know that I would have all this time to do, you know, it's nice. You can focus on different things.
Yeah. I was always good at finding the guys that were like 10 years younger that could pick some crazy solos, and I'd snatch them up. They finally ran me off from driving around the school yard. Get on out of here with your van.
There's that guy again. Well, the carpool line, all the time that my daughter was in school, I'd pick her up and sit there and play guitar while we're waiting for the doors to open up. So you got to find the time, you know, like there's 30 minutes. And of course I'd go a little early sometimes so I can get that extra 15 minutes of practice in.
So is your daughter just ripping it up already?
She's chosen not to play the guitar. I tried to encourage her, and she didn't take to it.
Yeah.
And she's a music fan. She's got her own tastes in music, and she's into collecting vinyl, and but she's got many other interests as well, and she's good at school, which is not something that I ever was. And
yeah, I got a kid like that.
She's taken calculus.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
It's fun, which is to me is just funny to look at. You know,
Like, what is this?
Those are letters. What? That's not math.
I always try to put a guitar in my son's hands from the get go, and he has gravitated toward the piano or keyboard, but even less of like he's trying to do movie score kind of stuff, and he can pick. We watch a movie. He's like, "This is the score from this movie." They're just borrowing it, but like he knows all the facts of who this composer is. And I'm like, what in the world, man? Like how?
It's interesting.
And I just found out like last week or the week before, he's got perfect pitch.
Really?
Yeah, I was playing a guitar in the living room, and he's like, "That's a D," and I'm like, "Well, what's this?" He's like, "It's a G," and I'm like, "What's this?" He's like, "It's B flat," and I'm like, "What the hell, dude?" I was like, "How do you know?" And he's like, "I just memorized them all." It's like, what the hell? What? I don't know them. You know, I mean, I might could guess and pick a.
That's interesting. Yeah, it's been really interesting watching the development of, you know, and like what they're into. Why that?
It's like, why that? And, yeah, but he's really good at it.
Yeah, that's great.
Maybe he'll be the one to make all the money.
Yeah, my daughter, she's into visual arts mainly. She paints and draws, and she's into textiles, and she listens to music while she does it. She knows all about music. She's kind of a sponge like that. But yeah, I got her as far as, what's the name of it? Rumble by Link Ray. I got her to we could play that together.
Cool.
And then shortly after that, she said,
Not for me.
"Not really into this, Dad." All right, that's fine with me. I don't want you to hate it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you can't force them.
No,
That's
that's
for sure.
pointless.
Yeah.
And I know her enough to know that if at any, because her mother, my wife, is kind of like, well, it's kind of be nice if maybe later and she wants to play. And I said, if she wants to play, nothing will stop her, like it was with me. There was
Right.
nothing going to stop me from playing guitar.
And who knows? She could come back around to it,
Yeah, she
at
could.
some point in time.
But again, she's got her own interests,
Yeah,
and she's living her childhood, not mine.
That's
that's
right.
right.
Dave's son is my drummer.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even know the answer to this. I mean, he is learning guitar now, but when did he start even playing drums? I know he played piano when he was a kid.
Yeah, when he hit middle school, the old 5th or 6th grade. I think it's 6th grade. When you hit middle school, you're
He was in the band.
able to go into the band program.
I forgot about
And he
that.
had to decide on an instrument. And just like me, I was 9th grade when I was faced with that in high school. And I knew that I didn't want to take PE anymore. And I didn't sing. I didn't fancy myself a singer at that time, at 13, 14 years old.
To my choir.
Yeah, chorus.
Chorus.
So it was either chorus, PE, or band in high school for my chosen elective. And I said, well, I'm going band. And I picked out the drum, and learned it and did very well with it. With one drum, I couldn't play a set of drums to save my ass. But Connor came along and was posed with the same thing in the 6th grade, and he decided to follow in my footsteps, and he went with the snare drum, and he got very good at it. As a matter of fact, he can play a set of drums. He can do just about anything you put on his plate, as far as percussion goes. He ordered some, I think this was during the pandemic, he ordered some bones that,
It's kind of like spoons.
spoons. Oh, yeah, similar to that. Put them in a little bag, and pull
Yeah, he
them
picked
out.
up
You're the
that
life
pretty
of the
quick.
party. Yeah. Yeah. So he kind of followed in my footsteps there.
Your daughter plays guitar too.
My daughter?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Not anymore. I mean, she's kind of let it go. But she's got her own business and everything right here in town. So kind of like your daughter, she's always in fashion and got a very innate sense of fashion and marketing and merchandising and everything. She's just great at it.
So you've played with some legends.
Yeah.
I mean, I was reading your bio.
Yeah.
How did the Chuck Berry thing come about, or what was that about?
Well, I played with the I think I might have mentioned the older guys that I played with. They had been a part of a band called the Woolies in the 1960s, and they backed up Chuck Berry as the Woolies, or after they kind of broke up, whoever was left locally. And I didn't realize this when I started playing with them, but they still would get a call from Chuck Berry when he came around.
Oh wow!
So I got to play with Chuck Berry, and 5 times I played with him.
Oh my gosh! Did he treat you okay?
Well, I didn't have very much interaction with him.
Okay.
I had a few personal interactions with him on stage and backstage, but I had nothing to do with it. I actually played guitar with him because I was the bass player in the band, but every time there was a Chuck Berry gig, the old bass player would call up and want to get on the gig.
Yeah.
So the band leader switched me to rhythm guitar,
Okay.
which was fine with me.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we played with him a few times, and a couple county fairs, played with him at a big theater, a music theater outside of Detroit.
Yeah.
Played with him one time in Wrigley Field in Chicago.
Neat.
Did it between games of a doubleheader, Cubs, Padres.
My gosh.
And then we played one time at a private event at the Dow Chemical Plant in some town in Michigan. I can't remember what it was. But yeah, it was great. I mean, I it was mostly a blur to me being 15, 16 years old. But I like I say, I had a couple interactions with him, and he was nice to me, and he really kind of workman-like. He just came and did his job. He had played for 45 minutes. He did.
I've heard some horror stories.
I have too. But I think that the band that I was in, he chose them.
Yeah.
He had the band leader's number. They'd actually, and so he was happy to be playing with us. And it wasn't. You hear about people that just are not a good fit, and etc. But yeah, he kind of came and did his job, and he seemed to enjoy it.
Well, that's
he
quite
a
notch on your resume there. That's wonderful.
It was great. I'm really happy I did it.
You ain't kidding.
There is one photograph that I've been able to find with me on stage with him.
With Chuck? Oh, man.
I know there's more, but I haven't seen them. And the Cubs Padres baseball game, didn't they leave the TV cameras on for the show? I mean, is that in some basement somewhere?
Yeah.
Surely. I mean,
unless they didn't even, it was a day game, day doubleheader, they might not even televised it.
Yeah.
It was Sha Na Na was the opening act.
Oh, wow.
And they gave the band roving passes so we could go anywhere in Wrigley Field. We could go in the broadcast booth. We could go out on the warning track out where they park all the trucks and stuff.
Yeah.
So me and the bass player, Chris B. Bacon was his name.
Chris Bacon?
Chris B. Bacon.
Chris B. Bacon.
Chris B. Bacon.
He was the guy. I replaced his bass player. And he was... I don't know where the other guys were, but he was at loose ends, and he was hanging out with the kid, me. And so we walked all over, and we saw Chuck out on the warning track, or, it was during the game, so it was on the other side of the wall under the bleachers. We saw him get paid, and that was 2 shopping bags full of cash, which he put in the trunk, shut the door.
Dang.
Crown Victoria rented. Got his guitar out. We saw him get paid. And then we were wandering around, and we went in. We were told that our dressing room was the groundskeeper's dressing room. And we could go in there if we wanted to, but we didn't need to dress or anything. But we did anyway because we were wandering out. We went in there while Sha Na Na was playing. And Chris, we were just kind of looking around, and he picks up this comb off. And he combed his hair, and it was one of Sha Na Na's comb, and it was loaded with grease. And so his hair was all greased back, and he was really embarrassed by this. So it was Beanie Day at Wrigley Field. They giving out Cubs beanies with the propeller
so he got
on
a
top.
beanie.
So he wore his beanie instead of having greasy hair. And the one picture I have is Chris is on stage with his Cubs beanie on.
Oh,
That's great.
Hey, that was beautiful.
What about Billy Joe Shaver? I don't want to go through the list of things,
well,
but, I'm just
Billy
interested
Joe,
about.
We played with him in Texas at a place called the Lone Star Cafe in Mesquite, Texas, and that wasn't a gig. That was just to pick up. I don't even know why he was there, but he was there. And we crossed paths with him on several occasions because his album Tramp on Your Street had recently been released when my band was touring those couple years. He was touring on the strength of that, and maybe the next one, Electric Shaver, as well. And this was when Eddie was still alive. So we got to meet him a few times. and Eddie, and the bass player Keith Christopher. He's quite an interesting guy, but yeah, we played with actually played music on the stage at the same time at a place called the Lone Star Cafe in Mesquite, Texas. And another guy that was there that night was James Hand, who you probably haven't heard of, but he's passed fairly recently. He's a songwriter. He was from Central Texas, and he kind of sounded like Hank Williams and wrote songs like in that vein. Mm-hmm. He was a really good songwriter. He had, I guess it's not too much to say, he had some personal issues that he never really got it together to become a singer. I mean, he did a lot of playing locally. He was acquainted with Willie Nelson. Willie Nelson let him record at his studio there in Central Texas. Nothing really ever came of that. But Charlie Crockett, who's a contemporary country singer, if you want to call him that, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I recognize the name when you said it.
Justin is a big fan of
I think Charlie
guy.
Crockett is great.
Okay, so this is the album.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know who James Hand was when I saw the album. So I
Yeah.
The
didn't.
whole record.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
And that's just the tip of the iceberg of James Hand songs.
Okay, I'll have
too.
to check that out.
Yeah. And James Hand did a record with the Derailers backing him up in the 90s. Didn't really kind of go anywhere. But yeah, so that was a fun night with Billy Joe Shaver. And Billy Joe Shaver and James knew each other. And James would just kind of, I don't know, I think he didn't have a driver's license. And he had a friend that I'm still in contact with named Brian that would kind of drive him around, and he'd look up and there was James. Howdy, James. How's it going? It was really, and he was a really nice man. But yeah, that was lots of fun. Texas was great to my band, the Ex-Husbands. We played in Greater Dallas a lot and Austin as well.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people thought we were from Texas. We played there so much.
Can you find the Ex-Husbands on Spotify or anything?
No, but I think there's some of it on YouTube.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Check it out. Maybe we can pull some up on the break.
Hopefully we urge everybody to go back and dig some of that up too. If you,
It's out there.
Let's take a break and come back and see what you got on that guitar.
All right, let's do it.
It was a good time.
be right back.
Something in my brain won't let me stray. Something in my veins gonna find its way. Something in the water taught me how to pray. When that cold black water finds its way into your veins, you'll never be the same.
Well, folks, we're back with Anders Thomsen, and Anders going to do us some original music now. What's this first one?
It's called Honky Tonk Song on the Internet. I don't think I've ever said the name of it.
Okay. All right.
Oddly, oodly, oodly, oodly. Well, I'm trying to write a story that people want to hear about falling in love or drinking beer, or how my truck broke down on the side of the road. A song about a dog or a trailer park, or meeting somebody and now I'm breaking your heart. A song that everybody thinks they already know. And I'm starting to wonder if it's worth the sweat for the little bitty bit of money I get when I put my honky tonk song on the internet. Oddly, oodly, oodly, oodly. Well, 57,537 views. Seemed like a lot of pretty good news, but it don't put beans on the table or gas in the tank. Well, I can stand on the corner, holler till I'm blue, but it don't change a thing that the people do. Somebody else already got that money and they put it in the bank. And I'm starting to wonder if it's worth the sweat for the little bitty bit of money I get when I put my honky-tonk song on the internet.
Yes, sir. All right. Mighty fine.
Yeah. I got shades of Ian Dunlop. Something about that kind of reminds me of Ian's songwriting. You familiar with Ian?
No, I'm not.
Ian Dunlop was the original bass player for Graham Parsons' International Submarine Band, the little band that he put together up in Boston. That's awesome. What else you got?
Well, let's see. I got this one here called Money Honey. This is one of those that I recorded last weekend. I will let the song speak for itself. I ain't in love with your money, honey. Baby, I'm in love with your mind. When we get carried to those pearly gates, you know you got to leave your money behind. It is your spirit that moves me, mama, makes this broken world whole. I ain't in love with your money, honey. Baby, I'm in love with your soul. I ain't in love with your body, baby. It just gets me closer to you. It gives me somewhere I can lay my head and something I can hold on to. Your eyes hold the sun and the moon and the stars, the ocean's way down low. I ain't in love with your money, honey. Baby, I'm in love with your soul. Well, now it is your spirit that moves me, mama, makes this broken world whole. I ain't in love with your money, honey. Baby, I'm in love with your soul. Baby, I'm in love with your soul. Baby, I'm in love with your soul.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Old soul. That's what you are. That's beautiful.
Great.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. So did you make, we was talking about that during the break. Did you do some
I just did a little
sculpting
decorating on this one.
Decorating?
Yeah, this pickup, I actually, I didn't wind the pickup, but I made the structure of it.
Yeah,
And my friend
yeah.
Wes from Zang Electronics made the pickup, wired it up for me, and then I just kind of fooled around and made those stick on there.
Embellishments. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I guess I had an hour to kill at some point.
Looked like it took more than an hour. That's pretty nice.
Not really. I've been woodworking for a long time, so building a guitar is not, like an electric guitar is not all that much of a stretch.
Yeah.
It's not that difficult. I mean, Leo Fender was a radio repairman.
Right.
He could do it.
So we can find you on social media,
Yep.
Facebook, Instagram, and
Yep.
bookanders.com is
That's
your
right.
website.
Yeah. I post all my upcoming dates on there, and there's some music you can stream. What else is on there? There's some links to videos and whatnot.
shows and calendars.
It's a kind of one place you can find everything.
Heck yeah. And you got music on Bandcamp and
Yes.
and YouTube, some stuff up there?
I personally haven't posted anything on YouTube, but I do know that if you were interested in listening to my old band, the Ex-Husbands, you could find. I know there's the greater part of both of our albums are on there. I don't know who put it up there, but it's there.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah, y'all be sure and check that out. All the
Come check it out.
hot spots and hangouts of our buddy Anders Thomsen. And we're going to ease on over here to the Reader's Corner now. It's time for a Tale of the Week. April 7th, 1998. Brothers John and Bill Smith and I woke up in Nashville, Tennessee to the news of Tammy Wynette's passing. I didn't mean to sound so happy about that. That was kind of up-tempo there. But let me start over. April 7th, 1998. Brothers John and Bill Smith and I woke up in Nashville, Tennessee to the sad news of Tammy Wynette's passing. The three of us were in Music City peddling our original songs to anyone who would listen. It was the last day of our trip, and it started out just like the previous 2 mornings. Shower, brush teeth, head out to our go-to restaurant on 16th Avenue South for coffee before making the rounds to Nashville's publishing houses. It was early. The restaurant was almost empty, save for the 3 Waycross songwriters and a little booth occupied by Marty Stewart and company. I curbed my fanatic enthusiasm, put on my most professional song-plugging face, and eased over to his table to announce myself. I said, "We're songwriters from Graham Parsons' hometown, Waycross, Georgia." As I handed him our Smith Griffin Smith CD, Marty smiled and said, "Ah, the Nashville handshake." That's when a virtual nobody hands a cassette tape or CD to a virtual somebody in Nashville. Marty Stewart knows about Graham Parsons, as do most knowledgeable folks in the country music capital of the world. At the age of 13, Marty was a member of bluegrass legend Lester Flatt's band. A year later, they were playing a show at Michigan State University with Graham Parsons, Emmylou Harris, and the Eagles. Marty remembers, "Graham and I jammed backstage, and he was talking about George Jones and Keith Richards in the same breath. He was dressed like Porter Wagoner. That particular show changed my life, and I signed on that night to play the kind of country music I play." On his Love and Luck album from '94, he recorded the Flying Burrito Brothers classic Wheels, written by Parsons and Chris Hillman. In 2018, he and his band embarked on a tour with original Byrds members Hillman and Roger McGuinn, celebrating the 50th anniversary of one of the most influential country rock albums of all time, The Byrds' Sweetheart of the Rodeo. One of the players on that 1968 album, recorded in Nashville, was renowned bluegrass guitarist Clarence White, who, along with musician Gene Parsons, invented the B-bender, a spring mechanism that attaches to a regular electric guitar, making it sound like a pedal steel. Tragically, on July 15, 1973, while loading equipment after a gig in Palmdale, California, Clarence White died after being hit by a drunk driver. In 1980, Clarence's wife, Susie, called Marty up to see if he would be interested in buying some of her late husband's instruments, one of which was the original B-bender Fender Telecaster that Clarence had played on Sweetheart of the Rodeo. Marty bought the guitar that he had always been fascinated by, along with one of Clarence's nudie suits. He speaks of the legendary guitar. I've never considered it my guitar, really. It's his, and now it kind of has a life of its own. The spring gets dry and squeaks, so I spray WD-40 on it now and then, but I've never cleaned it. All the dirt inside, behind the strings, is the original dirt. We call it Clarence. As legendary as that B. Bender guitar and its original owner is, Marty Stewart is a country legend himself. From an early age in Philadelphia, Mississippi, he taught himself how to play the guitar and mandolin. After playing in Lester Flatt's bluegrass band from 72 until Flatt passed away in 79, he then joined Johnny Cash's band for the next 6 years and married Cash's daughter, Cindy, at least for a few years. In 1985, Stewart left Johnny Cash's band to pursue a solo career. Over the years, he has released a catalog of superb country music recordings that's put him in a class all his own, including several duets with Georgia boy Travis Tritt. After meeting legendary country music singer Connie Smith following one of her concerts back in the 60s, he announced to his mother that he was marry her someday. He did just that in 1997, and a year later, helped write and produce her comeback album, Connie Smith. The Fabulous Superlatives, guitarist Kenny Vaughan, drummer Harry Stinson, and bassist Chris Scruggs have performed with Marty since 2002 and are featured regularly on The Marty Stewart Show, a 30-minute program on RFD TV, following the tradition of the Porter Wagner Show, the Jim and Jesse Show, and other Saturday evening country music shows that I used to watch on black and white TV in the 60s. Marty Stewart and his Fabulous Superlatives, along with former Flying Burrito brother John Beelan and original International Submarine Band bassist Ian Dunlop, headlined the 21st Annual Graham Parsons Guitar Pull and Tribute Festival, September 27th through 29th, 2018, at the Okefenokee Fairgrounds in Waycross, Georgia. Stewart celebrated his 60th birthday that weekend, but it was me that got the present. It was the memory of a modern country legend by the name of Marty, playing the B. Bender guitar of a bluegrass country legend by the name of Clarence, in honor of a cosmic American country music legend by the name of Graham. Put all that together and you got some country music legend.
Heck yeah.
Well, brother, we have certainly enjoyed having you.
Been my pleasure, absolutely.
Yes, sir. And thanks again for making the trip. And folks, you know where to find him on the internet, and find out where Anders is playing live and go out and check him out.
He puts on a show.
And
I've seen him twice now, and it's both been great. I'm glad we got you on here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks again, buddy.
It's been a pleasure.
And thank you all for tuning in, and we shall see you next time.
When the cold black water finds its way across through your veins, it just might seal your fate. It just might seal your fate. It just might.